Hi everyone, today we're going to be doing Cambridge IELTS 7 test 14 passage 1. The topic is about pulling strings to build pyramids. Okay, we have true false not given and summary completion here, which means so easy because it's reading passage 1. Alright, let's begin with the reading and just introducing the question, okay? It's generally believed that it's generally believed that a large number of people were needed to build pyramids. The climbers found a strange hieroglyph on the wall of an Egyptian monument. Garib had previously done experiments on bird flight. Garib and Graf tested their theory before applying it. The success of the actual experiment was due to the high speed of the wind. They found that as the kites flew higher, the wind force got stronger. The team decided that it was possible to use kites to raise very heavy stones. Okay, let's just try to do our best to figure out the right answer here. Right, no one knows exactly how the pyramid were built. Marcus Cologne reckons the answer could be hanging in the air. The pyramid of Egypt could be built, were built more than 3,000 years ago, and no one knows how. The conventional picture is 10,000s of slaves dragged stones on the slides. So let's figure out the synonyms here. The conventional picture could be a direct synonym to the word general believed, and then 10,000s of slaves could be a synonym to the large number of people here, and dragged stones on slides, which means this is the somehow synonym to the word building because they are dragging stones, pulling stones, so they are doing some stuff in terms of stones. That's why they are doing a building stuff. That's why the answer should be 2 here. Okay, the next one. Clement found a strange hieroglyph on the wall of an Egyptian monument here. So we have the word Clemens has suggested the kites might have been involved while perusing a book on the monument of Egypt here. She noted a hieroglyph that showed the Romans standing in the postures, right? So let's figure out what we have here. So first of all, we have the word on here. Maybe some people think that the preposition on could have the meaning that on the surface, right? On the surface, but here it's not talking about on the surface. However, on could be a synonym to the word about, and that's why, guys, sometimes we have to be sure whether the meaning of the on could be could have a definition the about. And so let's try to figure out while perusing a book on the monument of Egypt, right? Some people think that the word on could be somehow on the surface of the monument, and that's why it's talking about on the wall. However, in the question, on could be a synonym to the word on the surface. That's right, this is surface. But here on could have the meaning about, and that's why she was right perusing a book. She was reading a book about the monuments of Egypt, and that's why it's not talking about found on the surface of the wall, and which means false, right? Especially doing IELTS reading IELTS reading passages, knowing only one definition of the word maybe could not help you well enough, because you need to know more definitions of the nouns or of the verbs, the words that you just bump into in the passages, right? So so let's write it down here, 1, and this one is 2, right? The Garib and Graf tested their theory before applying it. So they tested. Oh, sorry. Garib had previously done experiments on bird flight. All right. We have the name Garib here. So Clemens contacted Morteza Garib aeronautics professor at the California Institute of Technology. He was fascinated by the idea coming from Iran. I have keen interest in Middle Eastern science, he says. He too was puzzled by the picture that had sparkled Clement's interest. So do we have the word bird flight? I don't think so, right? Maybe we have the word bird, but it's not talking about its flight, bird flight. So there's no just information about previously done experiments. That's why the answer should definitely be not given. So Garb and Graf tested their theory before applying it. So uh, as you see, we have the name here. So the answer should be here. The Garb and Graf set themselves the task of raising a 4.5 meter stone column from horizontal to vertical. So they did something, experiment here, using no source of energy except the wind. You see, the answer lies here. Okay. Uh, and it says true. Why? The same information. The success of the experiment was due to high speed of the wind. All right. So if the say for a long time would do, the key was to use pulley system, wind, speed. Do we have the word speed earlier? This, so we have the word speed here. The wind was blowing at a channel, so the answer should be here anyway. So the wind was blowing at a general 16 to 20 kilometers per hour. This is speed, right? Little more than half what they thought would be needed, which means so they had 20 kilometers per hour wind. However, they don't have to need such sort of speedy wind. So they just needed half, which means 10 kilometers per hour or 8 kilometers per hour. That's why the answer should be somehow false, because it's contradicting to the idea which is given in the question, because they said due to the high speed of the wind, right? And that's why the answer just becomes false. And they found that as kite flew higher, the wind force got stronger. So there was a huge initial force, 5 times. So this is force. However, then a steady state force. Okay. The jerk meant that kite could lift huge weights. Garib realized even a 300-ton column could have been lifted to the vertical to, for a snowman and 4 or 5 sails who climbs rides. As you see, we could have kind of word initial force 5 times larger or steady state force. However, it doesn't mean that it's true or false, because it's not given, which means we don't have such exact information which is given in the task. I mean the passage, and that's why just guys, you need to be super sure, because some people think that this could be true. However, it's not, because we have some pieces of information, but the words could have some meaning in the sentence. However, it doesn't mean the sentence. I mean, so let me explain in a different way. For example, we could have the word force, we could have the word 5 times larger, but it's not the exact meaning as the sentence says. As the kite flew higher, the wind force got stronger. It doesn't mean like this. Why? Because the words doesn't mean the whole sentence, right? They are just words. And so and the answer should be not given here. And the team decided that it was possible to use kites to raise very heavy stones, right? Okay, dokie. Uh-huh. So Columbus was right. The pyramid builder could have used kites to lift massive stones into places. This is the answer situated here, right? So, right, let's write it down. 7 here. So Columbus was right. The pyramids, the builders could have used kites to lift massive stones. So it's impossible. It's possible. It's actually possible they have used kites in that time, which means to use kites to raise. To raise could be synonym to the word lift, all right, lifting. And massive stones, they are heavy stones. And the answer, which means two. Okay, let's pay attention to the next topic. I mean, the next type of question. It's about the summary completion. Here, let's try to figure out the keywords which is given here. So the Egyptians had something which could lift large pieces of something that uh, they knew how to use the energy of the wind from their skill as something. So we need some uh, job here, right? The discovery on one pyramid of an object which resembles something, which means looks like something, suggests they may have an experiment with. So they may have experiment with, which means they may have some implications in terms of experiments. They may have done some experiments in the past with some sort of thing. And in addition, over 2,000 years ago, used in China as weapons as well as for sending something. Okay, let's just pay attention here. All right. The other field, there is more of a case for the theory. Harnessing the wind would haven't been a problem for accomplished sailors like the Egyptians here. As you see, we have the keyword like the profession, like a job, like sailors. That's why the answer should be energy of the wind from their skill as something. Just from a grammar, the word as just comes with professions, and that's why we are looking for the word like sailors. And they're known to use, so they are known to use it wooden pulleys, which means had wooden pulleys which could lift large piece of, which means large blocks of stone, right? And then they describe one pyramid and an object which resembled a something, which means looked like, yeah, looks uncannily like a modern glider. This is the answer for the 11th one, and suggests they may have experimented with something, which means there is some evidence, physical evidence, that the ancient Egyptians were interested in flight, and the answer would be flight here, because so they did some experiments in terms of flight here, right? And China, we have the word China here, and using the deliver message. You see, this is the keyword, and it was so easy to figure out the answer, right? Because sending and deliver are just keywords. So let's try to write it down. Okay. So deliver, the right answer is deliver. And this one is flight, right? Okay. And resembled a what? Modern glider, right? Modern glider. Skill as a sailor. Sailor. This is the only profession that we have here, right? And piece of stones, right? Stones. So it's talking about stones, and this one wooden pulley, right? Pulleys. So it's written like a plural here. That's why we have to write it down in plurals here. So this is all for today. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next videos.